Okay.
Hey everybody, always good to go, always fun to go
A
live.
good portion.
Just want to kind of let you know what we're looking at this evening. Before we get into it, my name is Byron Lindsay, and what I simply do is this. I try to help great salespeople get better and good salespeople become great. And tonight what we're going to do, I've had so many people ask, Byron, what are you going to cover in the sales boot camp? And I want to kind of give you a feel for what's going to happen. And if you go to BysterBootCamp.com, yeah, you're able to sign up. Yeah, you're going to see a video, but you really are still thinking, okay, what am I going to see when I go into a short webinar and then ultimately sign up for the class? But if you've watched any of my videos, you'll find that I give a lot of feedback on how to take a certain sales process and make it deeper, get deeper into it, make things really happen. So the video you're going to watch here was put out on the internet. I'm going to give critical feedback on it, but before we get into it, I want you to realize you don't say you're going to make great salespeople better without bringing in some good examples of some sales or some salespeople doing what they do best, and that's trying to sell. Now it is a role play, so it's somewhat controlled. But he's having this role play with two professional trainers, or at least one of them is a professional trainer. So you're going to get a good feel for what happens in the live call. But before we get into it, I want you to have an understanding of the representative who's come up there to set the stage. He's on a stage in front of 500 people, so he's already nervous. His skill level is real good. Now whoever's trained him has given him a good idea of how to, set the stage in his head and handle just about any bullets that a customer can throw at him, which is good. It's just like the show, what was it? Wax on, wax off, Karate Kid. So he's got some very good canned responses, and he's going through a training that's helping him try to fold in some more. What I'm wanting you to look at as we go through this is the company that he does work for is Home Advisor. And it's so funny, most people who are probably watching this think, yeah, Home Advisor, I know it, I see the commercials. Well, Home Advisor does all the marketing. They suck the leads out of the market anywhere, if you're wanting to have your house painted, have a roof replaced, your AC replaced, anything. Now, they do a great job of scanning the people that they're bringing in. In other words, if they're going to put you in touch with a builder, that builder's going to be checked out. He's not going to be a scumbag. So that's a good thing. They do a great job of marketing. I mean, you've seen it. The lady in the belt, her where she has her tool belt and everything, and it makes everybody feel comfortable because they're trying to get not only the men, but they want the women so that you can bring them in and check everything out and you feel comfortable. Now, how Home Advisor makes money, because keep in mind, they say that's free to the customer, and it is. But their real customer is not the person who signs up to get their house painted. The person who pays the bill is the business that they give that lead to. This is a form of advertising. Now, it's a little bit different. They're bringing the leads and they're selling the leads to these people who are in the contracting business, and those leads are not free to them. So when you're selling, if you're Home Advisor, you've got your advertising selling to the general public to come in through there. But if you're a salesperson for Home Advisor, you're trying to get contractors to sign up with you. Now, in the beginning, they really could kick butt because no one really knew what to expect. But I want to set the stage because this is how I build scripts. This is how I build a program. I learn what you do. I want to get an understanding of how this goes along. So I'm taking a little bit more time, but I want you to realize it's going to be a long Facebook Live. But the reason is I want you to understand what we're looking at, and it's a very good example of a good role play, a good sales rep, but you've got to understand what's really going on as I do the coaching when we go through this, because this is simply how I would coach everybody on that stage. So the first thing is Home Advisor does ads to the consumer. Consumer goes through them, they go and check them out, they get 3 or 4 people, and then what happens is where everything can go well or it can go badly for the person who's paying for the lead. So you're going to see in this, they sign up, they pay an annual fee to be involved to at least get a lead. The lead price is going to vary depending on how big the job is. So what they do is they'll call roofers, they'll call painters, they'll call HVAC people. They'll call everybody trying to build that list of people that want to buy those leads. Now I want to time you out because I've also worked with the other side of the equation, and that's the contractor. So I want you to know what the complaints are. There's 2 or 3 things that happen. Okay, yep. Home Advisor sends them text. Home Advisor sends them emails. Home Advisor may even call them. But if they don't respond instantly, that lead's also going to 2 or 3 other people, and there's different levels that you can get. If you're on that instant level where you are the first round of the lead to go to, you're going to pay a higher premium. If you're the second level, in other words, they don't know if that business closed and they sell it out 2 or 3 days later, well, that's another level of buying of the lead. What I want you to realize is when you're that contractor, whether if they buy or not, you're paying for that lead. You're going to be billed. So if you get a text or you get a call, whatever, you're going to get billed. Sometimes what you run into is you get this small job that you didn't even really want to deal with at all to begin with. You go out there and you quote it, and only to find out that either A, you keep calling it and nobody calls because they've already spoken to somebody and they're coming out to quote the job, or B, you go out and you quote the job and you got somebody who's going to undercut everything. They're going to discount out the wazoo. They don't know how to sell value. They look good from a Home Advisor standpoint because they cleared their minimum specs. But if you're somebody who's done this for a long time, you know darn good and well, not every roofer is as good as another roofer. Not every tree trimmer is as good as another tree trimmer. Not every painter is as good as another painter. But your consumer isn't concerned so much with that a lot of times. They're just trying to get the lowest price. Hence, they get the competition and it drops the bottom out of it. So there are some contractors that really don't want to do business with a Home Advisor. Now, you're going to see in this role play, and I'll point it out as we get into it deeper, and this is something I always want you to realize as salespeople. Look, your job is to help your client. And when they ask you a question that makes sense for you to answer, and if you don't answer it, you're going to lose the customer altogether. And the main one generally tends to be price. And unfortunately, if they ask you on the front end, if you haven't loaded your gun, giving them a price or relating the value that you bring to that price is a problem. So I understand that. You've got to change that conversation pretty quickly. So if they ask you what the price is, that depends. And then after that, you get into the conversation. Now, so that we don't take forever, I'm setting the stage here because I'm very familiar with the guy, or not the person that's on the any of the people on the stage, but I'm familiar with the company that he's representing. And as we go through this, I'm going to be a little more critical, but it's the same thing I would do in Beister Bootcamp. If you go to BeisterBootcamp.com, that's where I'm putting together a 6-week online. And when I say online, it's going to be live. It's going to be just like we're doing right now, video, mono to mono. We're going to roll through a lot of things. But what I'm wanting you to be prepared for is what happens in that boot camp and what happens in any sales training I ever do. My goal is to help a sales rep understand the importance of helping their client first. If you'll help your client, you'll make a lot more money. I know we want to make commission. I know we want to get the sell, but you want to make sure that what you're selling that customer and explain to them what that can do for that customer. It's so much easier to sell than trying to do the gimmicks and doing the ninja twist and deflecting everything. Address the issue straight on without fear, and they will buy from you. It's just how it works. And it's worked. I mean, does it work every time? No, nothing's 100%. But over time, as you get better and you get your confidence up, and that's what I'm saying earlier when you talk about the contractors going out to the consumer, if they can't sell their value, they better get their story better or put somebody in sales that knows how to do it, because there is a difference between painters, HVAC people, tree trimmers, everything. So let's get into the call a little bit so you get a feel. You will see, I'm telling you, the kid's impressive. I'm impressed that he had the guts to come up in front of these people. And I mean, he took it and you hat tip to him. Let's see what happens here.
pretty quickly. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's a one call close a good portion of the time. So what's the objection that Steve's going to have for you?
You could do I'm busy, I'm not interested, or once we get into the actual.
Wow, we got a real stud up here. All right, let's roll.
Now, I want to compliment the trainer there that pointed out, I mean, think about it. You got a guy that's got the courage to come up in front of the group. And we're not talking about a small group, and we're talking about people who paid a lot of money to be in this class. They're looking for something here. And this kid, I mean, he really does a good job, and the trainer did a nice job putting him at ease and complimenting him. Because I'm telling you, most people do not like the front end of a sales call. It can be tough. So let's see what happens. It goes pretty well for him. There's going to be a couple points that I want to make on it, but let's take a look at it.
Yep. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Steve?
Yes.
Hey, Steve. It's at Home Advisor. The reason I was giving you a call is we're actually looking for a roofing company that services Boca and West Palm Beach.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Now, if you'll notice, the person he's role-playing with says, okay. But the problem that ran into here was he laid out an agenda. He said, hey, we're trying to find somebody in the Boca area, West Palm Beach. And that part's good. But at the end, he didn't really have a question. He didn't have anything. He just made a statement. And if you're going to do an opening, you got to have you got to roll something in there to get that customer to commit to spending some time with you. In other words, tell them what you want to do. Lay out an agenda for the call. He got lucky because the role player, he's really wanting to get to the close so he can give him an objection. That's his job. But I want you to realize it happens more than once. It's important that you do not end on just a statement because it can go sideways on you unintentionally, and you would blame the customer for it.
You do service that area, correct?
Sure.
You still have the roofing company?
We do.
Okay, great. So we're kind of under the gun. We are looking for a qualified roofer that we could start sending some homeowners over to. We had more requests come through than we're used to in the last couple of days. Let me ask you real quick, how long you guys been doing?
Now, whether that's true or false, I don't know, but it is a good lead in. And Home Advisor spends a fortune getting leads, so I'm sure they're getting leads. And what he's trying to do is pique the interest. I mean, this guy, he's a contractor. He wants the business, so he's trying to pique that. I have no problem with that lead in at all. Whether if it's exactly true or not, I can't, I don't know. But, other than that, we're good to go where he's headed.
Doing this for?
We've been doing it for a while, but, I'm not interested right now.
Okay, yeah, I hear you. I'll get you off the phone in 2 seconds. Let me just ask you real quick.
All right, so here we go. Gentleman said, hey, I'm not interested. And he rolled past that. And I actually like how he did it. I mean, he did a nice job. He goes, hey, rolls back in. But 2 seconds, really. Come on, 2 seconds? Hey, let me just ask you a question. Launch a question. Ask something that will pique their interest so that it keeps you in the conversation, because he's got your one or two options. He can either hang up on you or he'll continue into the conversation. But he did have, I like that he pulled it in, but the 2 seconds thing is a problem.
How far do you guys normally travel out for work?
Probably 20-mile radius.
Okay, 20 miles? Okay, cool. And roofing, is that all you guys do, or do you specialize in anything else?
Okay, now you're getting at a point, and I want y'all to realize something, especially if you're a salesperson. I don't care what you're selling. I have a friend of mine that sells $100,000 and $200,000, $300,000 generators, but he's selling it to Google, and Google is huge. So here he is. He's a very nice guy. He's a very successful sales rep, and he's selling something that's very high dollar. But when you belittle that customer by saying, do you do roofing, or is that it? You don't realize what you're saying to that person. But let me tell you something. The people that have I've had I've had my roof redone twice due to storms, and these guys come out, and these are real men. They're tough men, and they don't like you looking down your nose at them, because on one hand they come into me, I'm a sales trainer. That's what I do. I do sales. These guys are real men, and me trying to look down at them. Are you kidding me? And so you've got to be conscientious not to undermine your customer. It's not his intent at all. But it's when you think about it, if someone says, "Are you just a business owner?" It's just kind of offensive. Be careful with it. You won't know that it happened. It's one of those silent punches. but you want to be aware of it. So and I go through this, and I know you're thinking, Byron, you're being overly critical. Yes, I am, because on that front end, ladies and gentlemen, it's like that, it's like anything. I've always made this joke about my wife. If I don't take out the trash, I'm in trouble. So when I come home from not taking out the trash, number one, she never should have asked me, do I want to take out the trash? Because the answer is no, I don't want to take out the trash. But when I don't do it, and I was supposed to, in my mind, once I take it out, then, hey, we're good. But that's not it. She's going to be mad at me for something I did 2 years ago, 3 days, 49 minutes, and I'm still wearing that same ugly shirt that she told me to get rid of 3 years ago. So when you're dealing with a customer, don't offend them. Try to avoid anything that can be misconstrued and pay attention to that. And are you just Google? Just kidding. Let's see where this goes.
We just do roofing.
Okay, just roofing? All right, very cool. Well,
then he reiterates it again. He goes, we just do roofing. Just roofing? It's just condescending. Just, and I know some people say, oh, that puts you in a power position. Bull crap. You want to be level with that customer, not above that customer. You talk down to them, keep in mind, they got the money. They'll pop you right up under the chin, and you don't even see it coming. So always realize, equal, never just put yourself above.
Well, like I said, we had some requests come through for some roof installs right in the area. Let me run you through real quick how we work, and if it's a good fit, we'll start sending over those requests real quick, okay? Good.
So he just got permission to vomit all over him. In other words, Mr. Customer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about you. Or no, sorry, I'm going to talk about me. I'm going to tell you everything about me. Let me explain to you how this works. How many contractors do you think out there have not heard from Home Advisor at this point? How many of them do you think running in circles have not talked about it? I mean, I know everyone I've ever talked to, I've asked them if they use Home Advisor. They don't have a problem with Home Advisor. It's just that they run themselves ragged only to win so much business. So it's good that he's going to explain part of it. He may ask, are you familiar with our process and how it works? If the customer says yes, then you don't have to explain. To vomit on him, it's a problem for me. Let's see where it goes.
All right, so we're kind of like a matchmaking company. Basically, homeowners come to us when they're looking for a qualified roofer. If they have a problem with the roof, we'll set them up with someone like you or anyone else in the area. So the reason why a homeowner might use us is because we pre-screen all of our roofers. I mean, we background check you. We look for state licensing. So no dead bodies in the closet, nothing like that?
No.
All right, cool. You can see why that makes sense. The reason why you might use us is because we will actually cherry pick whatever jobs, whatever zip codes you want to go out in, and we'll make sure we only send requests from that area. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so he keeps coming back with this makes sense, right? Makes sense, right? Yeah. I mean, give the guy a little bit of credit. Yeah, he understands.
Cool. So I know you said you do roofing in the West Palm Beach area. What exact zip codes do you normally focus on every single day?
I mean, I just don't have time for this right now.
You don't have time?
So he's asked him, the way that they do it is by zip code. It can be city. It can be a number of different ways. And he's asking this guy this. Now, think about it. He does a 20-mile radius. And now you're asking him to zero in, and this guy's like, man, I don't have time for this. So it's again forcing the customer into your sales process versus taking care of the customer the way that you should. So let's see where this goes from. Again, I understand why he's doing it because that's how they do it. But, if he's he'll be fine. We'll figure this out. Let's see where we go.
All right. I hear you, Bob. Sorry, guys.
Now, look, he missed the guy's name. Let's cut him some slack. Like I said, he's in front of 500 people. There's going to be a couple times he brings this up. And look, it's easy for us to critique from where we're standing, but I would still, even in this, I would probably pause him in the call. I would give him some pointers to say, hey, avoid being condescending to the customer. There's something that I didn't bring up because I didn't want to seem overly critical. Again, let me tell you, like I said before, you're whacking the customer as if they weren't listening to you. So be conscientious of those words.
You're good. You're good. Keep going. Keep going, Bob. It's fine.
I know.
Okay, keep going.
I hear you, Steve. Like I said, I'll get you off the phone in a couple seconds. Let me just ask you real quick one more time. I know you.
So now, I'm going to get you off the phone in a couple seconds. He's talked more than 4 seconds so far. He repeats himself again. And I promise you, when you're talking to a customer, they may not say anything, but they're thinking, man, I'm not stupid. I heard you the first time. And so just be aware of that when you're talking to a customer. And sometimes that hostility comes out somewhere where you don't realize where it came from. Now you know where it came from.
You travel 25 miles, but just because you're traveling 25 miles doesn't mean you're not driving past work to get to work. So if I could keep you...
Now, that was a cool little saying. Doesn't mean you're not driving past work to get to work. And if you don't know you have a lead, then you don't have a lead. But let's see where he goes.
You in, I don't know, 3 miles from right where you are. That's where we're having a lot of requests these days. You think I keep going? So, struggling. Stage fright is real.
Dude, you can tell this guy has done this pitch a lot.
Not
you
to
can tell. Can you guys?
Not to 500 strangers.
Can you tell immediately? Raise your hand if you think he sounded more confident than most of the people up here.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
who wouldn't want this guy selling for you? I mean, I'm telling you, you get him, you polish up some of the words, some of the questions, get him on the right track. Oh my goodness, this guy would be a machine. He probably already is a machine because you can roll over a lot of people. My whole thing is I don't want you rolling over anybody. I want you closing more. I want them more positive of the experience, and I want them to love you when they're done. I want them to clearly understand what they're up against and how the best way to take advantage of the leads that are coming to them. And I'm not talking about just putting the roof on the house. I'm talking about how to manage it. You know, if you get that text, you got to respond instantly. If you get the email, you almost have to have someone dedicated to it so that you're doing the follow-up faster than anyone else, so that you're getting the lead and you're in a position to close the lead and help the people that you're trying to help. So let's see where this goes from here, because Home Advisor does a good job of getting leads.
This is what he does every day. He trains people. This is their deal. If you're in business in the area, in the U.S., Home Advisor, it sounds like it's a pretty hard thing to say no to. Why don't you guys get the pitch so far? Hey, I have roofing jobs in your area right now. We're swamped and we need to get them to people. Do you have the ability to take the work on right now? Like that pitch right there, it's a really hard pitch to say no to. Let's get through to the money.
Yep.
So just pretend
How much
like
Okay, now something I want to compliment the trainer on. I don't know if he's familiar with Home Advisor, but he is pushing. He's saying the right things here. It's like, how do you say no to that? And in the beginning, keep in mind, it was hard for contractors. They're not marketers. They don't know how to put everything together. I mean, a lot of them have hired the right people to do it, but they're generally not great marketers. So they're happy to get the leads. The problem is getting leads is not a cheap thing. It's nice to have them, but think about it. Number one, you're always going to have competitors. Number two, you're paying based on the price of the job. So if you're replacing a roof versus repairing a roof, that price is going to be a lot different. Getting the leads early versus 2 or 3 days later, those prices are going to be a lot different. You've got to determine if you're going to make that jump. Now, right now, who I'm giving you the perspective of is the customer. Now, these guys never really figure out exactly how the customer feels because, believe me, I've listened to some calls. I've had some people that have sold into this market, not for a Home Advisor, and it's a rough, these guys will wear you out. So that's why I'm giving you some of the things that I'm talking about here. There's nothing more that pisses them off. It's one thing if they lose the business because they went out and they were the high cost provider. It's another thing if they never even got a shot, but they got billed. So just kind of keep that in mind.
interested, and how much is it worth?
Yeah, okay, man, that sounds awesome. How much is it?
Okay, so like I said, the way it works is we send people.
So here we go again. Like I said, and I would imagine he always does that. That's like a public speaker who uses You got to be conscious. Like I said, it's like, don't repeat the guy asked you how much it is, and you haven't told him one time how much it is. Now, I want to prepare you for this so that you listen and hear what you don't hear. And that is, he never truly answers the question of how it's priced. He tells you what the annual fee is, but he doesn't give you any idea what the leads are. And I've done a lot of work with a lot of clients. And I mean, you talk about closing rate go up very quickly. Tell the customer the truth because they know when you're dodging. They know you're lying to them, and now your credibility's in the toilet. Now, I'm not knocking him. He's doing exactly the way he was trained. He's doing the way that a lot of times reps get away with. But if you've been messed over more than once by a salesperson, you're going to be paying attention to the words that these people use, and your goal is to help them reach the goals that they want. And that customer, they have no desire to pay you, to pay them for nothing.
Over to you when they come to us. So you pay on a per lead basis. The leads are going to depend priced on the size and scope of the job. So obviously we know you make more money off of an install than you would off a repair. Makes sense, right?
Sure.
Yep. So then it's just like Costco. So you have to pay a membership and then you buy groceries as much as you want. So the membership's $348. We take that upfront one time for the year, and then you pay for leads as you go. So the best way for us to send the leads over is going to be phone, email, and text. What's the best way for you to get the leads?
Now, there's his first real close where he's saying, how do you want the leads? The guy's going to answer him. But keep in mind, did he tell him how much the leads cost? The answer is no.
I want it right to my phone on text.
Okay, perfect. And the number I called you on, is that the best number for you to take the leads to?
Sure.
Okay, and the best email?
Yeah, but let's go back to the pricing. How much was it per month?
$348 for the year.
$348 per year. Wow.
Yep, and then you can buy as little or as many leads as you want. As we were going over the leads before, like I said, you can do.
Just send me the information. Send me the information, and I'll take a look at it.
Yep, so actually the email you gave me before, I already sent you an email over the phone. So if you want to look at that, pull that up. Otherwise, we'll just keep moving forward. So we went over re-roofs, installs. Those are the two leads you want?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Love the idea of it. It sounds great. Leads sound great. We're doing good, but I'm gonna have to think about it before we take before we close the deal.
Okay, that makes sense. Now again, you told me you were in West.
So the smoke screen he's throwing at him is, let me think about it. I need to think about it. And what the rep's not asking is, what concern do you have? There's got to be, it's just like you heard the trainer earlier. The product's an easy sell if you do it right and they manage it properly. The key is that they need to understand how to manage it properly. And so with him kind of dancing and not finding out what the real concern is by saying, hey, what concern are you having here? Obviously, it makes sense for you to do it. What concern are you having? You want him to tell you what's going on. So let's see where this goes.
Palm Beach, Boca. I know not every neighborhood in a 20-mile radius is considered equal.
So he's ignoring him and just rolling by, he's diverting back to, trying to lock him down. This thing can rear its ugly head on you.
What are the neighborhoods that when you get calls from there to do re-roofs, you get the most excited about? What puts money signs in your eyes?
I don't know. The biggest one's million.
Go back to the objection.
Yeah, I just got to think about it.
So you have to think about it. Okay, so we've been on the phone for about.
All right, now he's. I would imagine some of this was being trained to him in this, and this is where I want you to be careful. He's going to call the customer stupid, not intentionally, not using the word, but he's going to say, hey, I confused you, which implies the customer was an idiot and couldn't follow along with you. And let me tell you what the customer's feeling. I've asked you, how much is it? You have skirted and skirted and skirted. It's not $348. There's no telling what I'm going to pay for a roof job. If you're doing a roof on my house, I've paid $16 one time, $17.5 the next. Needless to say, I mean, hey, it's going to be a little bit more pricey. My point there is, I want to know what I'm going to pay for that lead. How much of my profits are you going to take from me for this lead that you're providing me? And keep in mind, it's worth it. You're doing the advertising for me. You're giving me an opportunity at a customer that I probably would not have an opportunity at unless 4 people came from Home Advisor and totally screwed up and treated the customer poorly and didn't make them feel comfortable. So I want to compete for the job, but I want to know how much that lead's going to cost me, whether if I get the job or not. So let's see where this goes.
15 minutes. We got all the way through the way it works. I know at the beginning of the call, I had told you that I had leads in the area. You told me you were, interested in potentially looking at them. Once we got to price, all of a sudden you have to think about it. Is there anything?
He doesn't even realize what he did wrong. once we got the prize, you're having to think about it. Well, that's because you didn't answer his question, dummy. You got to tell him so that he knows. And by the way, he's not a dummy. I'm just saying it. It's like, hey, you're ignoring the customer and then wondering, Shazam, that guy's asking me questions that I didn't. Oh my God. It's like, yeah, if you're not going to answer him, he's not going to answer you.
That you're not telling me that might be a concern. Normally when we get to this point and you have that response, it's because I've moved too fast and I've confused you. And I know there is a level of interest. I don't want you to take confusion that I caused as a disinterest. So what questions?
Now, we'll give him credit that he took credit for confusing the guy. But he hadn't confused him at all. He just hasn't answered the question. So he didn't confuse, he defused. He just, poof, I'm not going to answer that question on the grounds that you may not buy from me.
Do you have for me?
Yeah, well, I've used companies like this before. Like we used Angie's List. And so, you know,
okay,
they
cool.
didn't give me what they promised.
Right.
Okay. Now, right here, he kind of makes a stumble because he's going to say, oh, Angie's List is affiliated with us because he missed that they didn't give him what they promised. And this is where he would have had a great opportunity to ask, what do you mean? And he does come back around to it, but he should have asked this well before now.
The good thing about them is actually we partner with them. So it's a good opportunity to do both. But what exactly happened and what were you promised that wasn't delivered?
Well, you know, a ton of leads, a ton of people interested.
Okay, so here's the cool thing, right? It's a different model. They do like a directory listing where it's kind of like putting up a billboard. With us, it's a per lead system. So you pay for the leads we actually send you.
Yeah.
So here's kind of the problem that we're getting here. And I want, if this rep worked for me or I did a training for Home Advisor, there's two things. He didn't explain how the leads come. He didn't explain that Home Advisor spends a small fortune on TV ads across the country, on cable, on mainstream TV. They spend a small fortune to make their phone ring, to get a lead for people. In other words, if I need to get my house painted, I don't want to look in the yellow pages. Which I don't even know if they do the yellow pages anymore, but I don't want to look in the yellow pages. It's much easier for me to go to a website. I put in what I'm looking for. I send it over. They take my information and then they disperse it out to the people. Got it. That's awesome. The problem is, from the user, it didn't cost me anything. From the contractor, it cost them something. But if you don't put the value in the money that Home Advisor spends to make their phone ring, to put them in front of somebody so that when they need their house painted, the first thing they think of is Home Advisor, and then Home Advisor gets that lead, there's some value in that. So if you're not explaining it to the customer, all they're seeing is a cost each month for those leads. They're not seeing the benefits of the advertising that they're doing. Now, that brings us to another thing. How about the customer? We haven't asked anything about, he's been in the roofing business for a long time. We haven't asked anything about them, really. We haven't asked what's he doing now to get customers. We haven't asked if his revenue is going up. Is his revenue staying flat? Is his revenue going down? You don't have any ammo to shoot against the price that this customer is going to bill you. Let me give you another hint. You don't know what the margins are either. You may make assumptions, but I don't know what the margins are when someone brings all. I mean, when they did my roof, they did it in one day. I mean, they cleared that roof and those guys hoofed that stuff back up there. I have no idea how much margins in that, that 16 and that 17.5. I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, they were in, they were out. That stuff was gone. The nails were all picked up and boom, they were gone. So there's a lot of things going on from a business perspective, and he knows absolutely nothing about this customer. Right now, all he's doing is telling him, I'm going to get you leads, but he doesn't know what kind of margins, what kind of revenue, what's this guy looking at. He may be too busy right now. I mean, he said he could handle, I would handle a roofing job. I wouldn't handle a repair job. I'm too busy for that. I mean, all we do, we do commercial roofs and we do residential roofs. Does he know that? Heck no, he doesn't know anything. He's just pitching what he's offering. And right now he's unarmed. And that's why he's scared of price, is because he doesn't know anything about the client. Now keep in mind, does he have great skills? Yes. Is he doing it the way that they're teaching him? Yes. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're talking about a probably $100 million a year company. and they just teach it a little bit wrong. If you change it a little bit, if you go to Beister Boot Camp, these are the things we're going to focus on. We're going to help you get more directed. Now you're going to hear they get some good detail here. Let's let the video do the work, and then I'll give you some more feedback in a moment.
Love that, man. But listen, the real deal is that I got to think about it. I got to make sure this is right for my business.
Yeah, I understand. And like I said.
All right, now think of this. Yeah, I understand. The customer said, I need to make sure this is right for my business. Oh my God. You couldn't have an opening wider than that one. Right then and there. Think about it. The trainer earlier made the comment, when you're coming at you with these things, it's a big no-brainer. And that guy's like, I don't know if it'll work for my business. What? Huh? Well, if your brain says, what? Huh? Guess what you should do? Ask your customer. So you want to go, hey, help me understand when you say it won't work for your business. What concern do you have? Get the guy talking. Let him tell you, hey, look, we did with Angie's List. All we got was low quality leads. We paid the fee. It didn't cost us a whole lot, but it was a pain in the butt. I mean, who knows what in the world that happened to him with Angie's List. So, and there's, again, nothing wrong with Angie's List. They have a part of the market. What I want you to realize, you got to get that guy talking. You want to help whatever's happened to him in the past, help him get past that so he can, number one, you make money because you're going to get a commission for closing him. Number two, you're helping him grow his business. You're going to help him be in the 3-mile radius. You don't want him to do away with the 20-mile radius either, but you want him to fill that void so that he can do the 3-mile thing. So let's see where we go from here. Believe me, there's some good opportunity.
We had leads coming through in the area. What exactly?
So the thing that Steve's fishing for right now is the word track, so that he can move back into the close. And so he's deflecting, which is bypassing the objection, which can work. But what Steve's looking for right now is just like a word track, like, hey, completely understand you need to think about something. Think about an elephant. How long did that take?
Instantly.
Took that long. Think about the watch on my hand right now.
Not sure what this think about an elephant and the watch on my hand. That guy may go, what are you, being a smart ass? I mean, you got to be careful with that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong. Some of these hammer techniques, they work, and they'll work a large percentage or a percentage of the time. But there's no need to be a smart ass to the customer. I mean, just ask him the right question. I'm not saying anything bad against the trainer, and I understand where he's coming from. And he's same thing. He's up on stage in front of 500 people also, and he's taught a process to help you handle the customer, and you're trying to force it to make it work. I mean, if you've watched any of my other videos, I talk about that as, you know, everybody, you know, oh, let me think about, oh, you should think about it. And then they try to, you know, drop a hammer on somebody, and you're going to hear it in just a second. So what I'm wanting you to realize is when someone throws you a smoke screen, you got to clear through that smoke screen. You got to figure out what's really being said here. What's really the concern? Right now, we know nothing.
How long that take? Truth is, right now, you need to do more business. You need to grow your business. You don't need.
Okay, so now he's using a common statement. Hey, you need to grow your business. You need to do it. That guy hadn't said that. That guy hadn't said that at all. You've got to get the customer to say these things. If you tell them the obvious, they're like, you know, come on, man, quit janking me. Of course I've got to grow my business, and I'm growing it well right now. So you got to be careful telling them what they didn't tell you. Even though you know it's true, you want to ask the questions to get them talking first so that when you're firing your bullets, it's something that means something to them.
To think, you need to make a decision. Yay or nay, which one is it?
I need to think about it.
I understand, man. I'm with you. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10
Okay, so again, I understand. You don't understand crap. Guy said he didn't think about it. I understand. No, you don't. I'm sorry. I hate that when people, yeah, I understand. You know, all I know is somebody dies in my family and you say you understand because someone died in your family. No, you don't, because you have no idea what relationship I had with the person that passed. You don't have any idea of the other people that know that person either. So be careful with the words, I understand, because because think about it. That guy is sitting here. I don't know what he does. Maybe $5 million a year doing roofs. Okay, so 5, 6, 7 million a year. And he's talking to a company that he knows probably does 100 million. And that guy's sitting in that chair in the comforts of air conditioning versus having these guys up on the roof in the dead of heat in West Palm Beach, Florida, which was 83 degrees yesterday. That was we're in the winter. I mean, so you're talking about some heat when you get in the summer. So you have no idea what that guy's doing. You have no idea what he's going through. So don't use the words, I understand, because sometimes you will draw back and up. Now, I understand where the training's coming from. I do. This is a factual thing. I do understand it. And that's what I want you to realize. If it's something factual, you can understand it. If it's based on feelings, you have no idea. If you didn't ask that customer, you're just playing a hunch. Your hunch may be right, but why don't you let them tell you? So let's see where this goes.
Being let's go right now. 1 being I wouldn't take it if it's free. Where you stand?
5.
5. What would take it to a 10?
Free leads.
Now, so he's asked an open question, and boy, can it hit you just like the guy did with free leads. And that's why you got to be careful what you need to, if you don't ever ask somebody what they would pay, because that's a normal answer. And I understand why they answer that way, because they just want to see where you go. You can still close them. They don't want free leads, and they know that.
Free leads. So it's a money situation.
Now you're blaming money. It's not really that at all. It really is a trust thing. It's like, man, I don't want to go through this hassle. I went through it with Angie's List. You guys have called me to death. It's not a money thing. Quit guessing.
Well, how do you know it's going to work until you try it?
Well, fortunately, Home Advisor is the most trusted name in marketing, business marketing solutions for contractors like yourself. So we have hundreds of thousands of clients who've already proven for you that our program works. All I need you to do now is say yes, and we can start delivering business for you.
So I have to trust you.
Very nice close. Decent objection, but very nice close where he talks about the trust. Everybody's familiar with it.
I'm an advisor. That's what people do.
But you called me out of the blue.
So you got to have something to say, right? So the word track pushes into the objection. He chose to bypass the objection, which can work, but you also have to figure out what the real problem is. Like when he's saying he needs to think about it, how many people think he needs to think about a $348 decision as a business owner? He don't need to think about it.
Now he's right. 348 is nothing. That ain't what he's worried about. It's, you know, it's kind of like Gillette. They'll give you the razor. It's the blades that get you.
There's something else there. So we need to figure out what it is. So move into thoughts instant. What's the real deal? 1 to 10. 10 being you ready to go. 1 being you wouldn't take it if it's free. What would make it a 10? Hey, completely understand. When I need to think about it, it's typically because I'm not sure about a couple things. You mind if I share them with you?
Okay, so now the trainer is going into the guess mode. And what I want you to pay attention to, they're good guesses. They really are. But they mean nothing. And you'll see as we go through them. I'm going to stop at each one. Now, look, this gives a good opportunity for us to talk about Beister Boot Camp. These things that you're seeing on the stage, this coaching that's being done, it's good coaching. It really is. I would take it deeper. I would. I mean, you take the skills there. You just want to hone the skill. You want that person. You know, it's like me. I can shoot pool, but I have a friend of mine who's a professional pool player, and I can't shoot pool when I compare myself to him. I have the same skill, use the same stick, use the same chalk. You know, I shoot the same cue ball, but he can make that cue ball do things I can't do. So right here is where really, instead of guessing, you should have still gone back to what concern to get the customer talking. Not knocking the trainer at all. Still, even if you did what he's asking you to do, you would close more than not doing what he's going to tell you. But you'll see when we get into it. I just want you to realize if you want more information on Beister Boot Camp, feel free. Go to BeisterBootCamp.com. Get signed up. We're going to do a webinar. Hopefully someone has the courage to get on your webinar, just like this guy is, and we can do some role play so you understand where we're going to go, how we're going to get there. The difference I would do is I reply a little, I'm going to reply to your questions literally, and I know where to kind of take you. I'm not mean, but I mean, I can take you down a path that you may not want to go because I generally tend to understand most people's business because I ask them. So let's see where this goes.
Number 1, I don't think it's going to work for my business. Number 2.
So number 1, it's not going to work for my business.
I tried something like that before and it didn't work.
Number 2, I tried something like that before. And number 3.
Or number 3, it was too much money and I just didn't want to tell the salesperson. Which one is it for you?
Now, he says, so which one? So this is that old trick of narrow it down to one thing. Ladies and gentlemen, it could be all 3 of those. It could be all 3. It's not going to work for me. What does that mean? Hey, you ask the guy, it could be anything. It could be, hey, I don't have the crew. I don't have anybody that can go out and do quotes at this point in time. I don't have people that can run all over town and not get the business. I don't have someone who can nursemaid that thing. I've heard the main thing is you get a lot of leads, but if you don't call instantly, I can't hire somebody just to do that because that's going to drive my cost up. It's not just the leads. Hiring somebody in this market right now, I'm going to be paying $15, $16 an hour, sitting around waiting on this to be done. I don't have anything else for them to do. So that could be one. The other thing, well, and of course I've forgotten the other, but my whole point there is the money thing may not be. It's just that from a money thing, he may come back and go, hey, I'll be honest with you, dude. I really don't know how much it's going to cost because you hadn't told me what an average lead's going to cost me for a roofing job. And my average roofing job is anywhere from $16,000 to $80,000. It depends on if I'm doing commercial or I'm doing residential. Which leads are you going to provide me? So you don't know. And that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of questions that could be asked. The role player, if he knew a little bit more about it, probably would. Because these guys, they role play a lot, so they have the skill to know how to do a right role play. They haven't been difficult on this guy at all. Now, you notice when the tables turned, that sales rep was tougher on the trainers. And here's why. He's wanting to get answers to the same things he's hearing on the phone. He's wanting to get an opportunity to drill up a real trainer and say, hey, what the heck can I say differently? What can I do differently? He didn't come here. They spend anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000 for this class, and it's worth it. I mean, you're coming in for 3 days, and you're getting a whole bunch of information poured into you. Now, the difference with BysterBootcamp.com is I'm going to pour a whole lot of information into you, but you're going to be able to get out in the field, try what I'm teaching you, come back and role play again and give true feedback, and then keep trying, because this doesn't happen overnight. And if you've ever done any type of training, 80% of it's gone by the end of the first week. You'll forget 50% by if you end up on a Saturday. By the time you get there on Monday, you're going to forget what you've been taught. So in Byster Bootcamp, we're going to do it on a Monday, and that way you can try it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we're going to have individual classes so that you can come back in, and it's going to be small group so that I can coach you better, so that you get a chance to really role play and ask the right questions after you've tried the skills that have been taught, after you've tried some of the marketing things that are going to be laid out. So just kind of keep that in mind. Let's see where this goes from here.
Option 1, 2, 3. I've forced him into one. Yeah. So, but you could tell, like this guy, this organization, I know that they train their people a lot. So he comes up here, he knows his script, he knows the objections he's going to get, and he's able to sit up here and dance around with the customer.
Now, here's the beautiful thing. He pointed out so many things. They have a script. Everybody, I love how people say, I don't need a script. Yes, you do. I mean, especially if you're a manager, how are you going to hold people accountable? How are you not going to come back and go, hey, look, you need to say this. We need to look at it from this perspective. You're not taking the customer through the process. You're not able to offset the cost because you don't know anything about their margins. You don't know anything about their revenue. There's just so many things that are left out of this script that should help him, that would help him be prepared for anything coming. The first thing, though, is find out what the customer's concern is. If there's one thing I want you to learn out of this video, when someone throws an objection at you, you need to pretty much ask, what concern do you have? It'll help you so many times. When you have nothing else to ask, what concern do you have? Hey, look, this kind of wraps it up. I know it was a long one. I hope it helped you. If it did, share it with some people. Share it with anybody that you would like. Go to BysterBootcamp.com. We'll give you a lot of information there. Or, well, it won't be a lot of information at Byster Bootcamp. But when you go through the short little webinar so that you can see what we're doing, this really gives you a good example of it. And then get signed up for the boot camp. Is it cheap? Absolutely not. But it's worth every penny that you're going to pay for it, because guess who we're focused on? Just like I tell you to focus on your customer so they can make more money, you're my customer. And I wanted to focus on your customer so that you help your customer make more money, which helps you make more money, and you end up paying me. And guess what? You'll make a lot more money than I'll ever make, but we all win, and we're all doing what's best for everybody. Hey, it's been a pleasure doing the video. Please feel free to share it. You got any questions, reach out to me at ByronLindsay.com. It's been a pleasure. Have a great evening.